today or not. But I think we're just live. So bam, come on, we're there. No fancy countdown today.
Oh,
3,
no.
2,
It's
1.
too late.
Welcome.
You can't count down after we're live. That's not how that works.
Chris can.
No,
Yeah.
I can do what I want.
We are live, and we are now going to count down till 5 seconds after we're live. 5.
That's how we roll up in here.
That's funny. That's awesome. Happy Friday, everybody. What's new in Tennessee?
Oh, cooler weather.
Yeah.
Which has been interesting. I think it was like 42 last night.
Nice. Like legit fall weather.
Yeah.
Like
it's kind of weird.
Sold off quick.
I miss the fall weather being out in Florida now. Like 2 weeks ago, I was going out to run and it was still like 73 degrees and 98% humidity. With the hurricane that's blown through, the last couple days have been, the mornings have been in the 60s, which for Florida weather is a nice, cool fall day. I'm like, give me some 45s and 50s so I can go run 10 miles and not overheat. That's money.
It doesn't matter what the temperature is. I'm overheating if I run 10 miles. I'm
Yeah.
straight up overheated for sure.
That's funny.
It could be 10 below zero and I'm overheated.
I won't make it 10 miles. So.
About a half mile in.
And one of the warmest runs I ever did was I just overdressed. It was actually a 30-degree wind chill. It was freezing in Nebraska, middle of the winter. I was training for a marathon, and I was like, "Holy moly, negative 30-degree wind chill! I better dress up, right?" And so I layered up, and I had all these clothes on, and I had a balaclava and a whole shebang. And that was actually the hottest I've ever been on a run. Even though it was negative 30 outside, I was melting on the inside. I way overdressed for that one.
Nope.
That's my personal record for running in temperatures was negative 30-degree wind chill. It's pretty good.
I learned not to overdress when snowboarding and skiing as well.
Yeah.
I learned that last year. I learned that last year. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the bright side of what we were talking about a minute ago, Kat, if you're scuba diving, it's kind of hard to overdress, right? You're going to wear a wetsuit. You're going to go. You might get a little chilly if you didn't overdress. That's it. You're done. It's not as hard to get super hot and overdressed.
I would rather be super hot though than cold. I'm not a fan of the cold.
It's because the water is a better conductor of.
Exactly right. Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that, Kat. So I would rather be in a cold environment than in a hot environment because I can constantly layer and layer and layer and layer until I'm warm, comfortable.
I know.
Right? If I'm sitting on a beach and it's hot and it's humid, I'm like, I gotta take this shirt off. I gotta take this shirt off. I gotta take all this off. At some point, I'm just gonna sit there, hot, naked, miserable. Nothing I can do about that. Nothing I can do with it.
Walter's been frequenting the nude beaches because he gets hot.
At least, I lived in Europe as a teenager. I've done a lot of things. At least if I'm cold, right, I can make myself comfortable by adding layers. I can't do that if I'm hot.
I can't. I don't regulate in the cold like I used to. Yeah. So like when it hits 40s, if I'm standing outside with a light jacket on, like I'll start to shiver and it takes me forever to like warm up. So I would rather be in the heat and in the sun and just let me bake and
bake in the sun. Gotcha. Right on. Well, today, I think we've probably all seen the trends. Last week, we talked about how interest rates jumped up again. Shocker. Interest rates jumped up again since then. Almost 7. It's funny. I was looking at the numbers. They're like, it's 6.7 with 0.9 of a point. So that's actually over 7. So yeah. we're right at Chris. We may have to
probably going to readjust because it's probably
we have to adjust our pool to see what we're actually at the end of the year. Because I think both of our numbers by this time next week, we will have blown through both of our estimates.
Yeah.
And we said that a couple months ago. Yeah. So
I was talking to
36.7
a title attorney.
What about the title attorney, Kat?
I was talking to a title attorney last week, and we were talking about the rate hikes, and he was saying that we're already expecting several more before the end of the year and into next year because they said that the stimulus checks that came out back in 2020, I guess, when everybody was down, they said that we're still feeling the effects of that, and that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, I thought that was free money. What do you mean?
Right.
I thought those were free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought those weren't going to cost us anything. I thought that was their saving grace.
Yeah,
It's
you know.
crazy.
Everyone stay home for 6 months, and here's $2,500.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. It's a great plan.
Yeah,
Any,
fantastic.
Anyone that can hear words and read lips on TV should know that rates are going to move up at this point, right? The Fed is very, very clear about it. Like, this is where we're at. This is where we're planning to go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, rates are going to come up. They just told us, like, we're not where they want us to be yet. They're going to keep moving it up.
Yeah.
So by the end of the year, we'll be. I think now I said a year ago we'd be at 7% at the end of the year. Well, we're going to be there early, so now I got to figure out, like, what am I going to say by the end of the year now? You know. Good morning, Facebook user. It just says Facebook user, so let us know who you are, and we'll call you out by name and say good morning. I love how the Facebook does that with the lives. So like,
they said morning, guys. Hey, Catherine's here this morning. So
yeah. How
she's
dare
not a
you assume our
guy.
gender?
I don't think she's non-binary either. So you better say good morning, guys. In the house.
It's okay. I'm used to being one of the guys. It seems to be a
One of
trend
the guys. It's all good.
in my
It's
world.
funny how ladies are more okay with someone saying, "Hey guys, today we're gonna do," and the ladies are like, "Whatever." He's just saying hi. If you flip
cool.
that and you're in a room full of mixed company, you're like, "All right, ladies, here's what we're gonna do." Everyone's like, "What a jerk!" Like,
that's true.
What's double standard here? Like, all the guys are offended. Like, I'm not a lady, but all the ladies are like, "He said guys. That's just an intro. We're starting."
So yeah,
Never
I'm
said
in the
it's
South.
sensitive.
So I say y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all
So that is a
encompasses
non-binary,
everything.
gender-neutral term that works for
Correct.
everybody. Yeah,
The
absolutely.
South has been, taking all genders into account longer than anybody has.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
That's how we
I
roll.
guess technically.
We're looking out for everybody on this. South.
Are you sure that's not because we're lazy and that works in all circumstances?
No, absolutely not. We're
Okay.
all, everyone in the South is very, very agreeable to everyone's different pronouns. That's why we use y'all. That way we don't
Y'all
specify.
is the universal pronoun.
Universal pronoun, y'all.
I'm gonna
Leave it-
put
leave it
that
to
on my
Chris.
profiles from now on. Pronouns, y'all and
Y'all.
humans. Y'all and
Yeah.
humans.
Y'all and humans. There you go. That's okay. That's better than my husband's. He had one of those that he had to choose what he was, and so he wrote in dwarf.
Nice. It's nice to have options. You know? We're so far off topic.
So real quick, and then we can transition back. But we were on a mission trip. I was in, I think, high school on a mission trip in New York, helping a startup church or something. And my dad is very country. He says y'all, he says yuns, all that stuff. Literally, we're in New York, and he was trying to give somebody directions, and he made up a word. He said Yondway. Like, made up this word in New York, and it's like everybody just stopped and looked at him. What is that? Like, where is this guy from? So
Is Yondway
like-
a shortened version of Yonder Way? Which would be
Yonder
two
Way,
words,
maybe.
Yonder Way, but he's
No,
Yondway.
he said
I like it.
Yondway. It's like he
It's
took
his own
y'all.
language.
Yeah, it's his own language. Who knows?
Wow.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's my dad for you. Yuns,
Wonderful. I love
Yon, Yonway, whatever. So you guys know where I came from now, right? So you can
That's
have a
the
little bit
problem.
more appreciation for I've come a long way in the family tree compared to that. That's all I'm saying.
Got it. I love it. So since Kat hasn't been on with us in a billion years, and there might be some new users that are listening, I figured we'd give her a chance to introduce herself. So the lovely and talented Kat Pulcinelli. Kat, tell us a little bit about your business, what you do, and let's have a chat.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. For anybody that's out there listening, I'm a real estate agent, but I do business consulting with agents as well. And what that means is I help come in and set up systems and create organization and base that off of a team or that person's personality and how their habits are going to affect their business. And so I work with them personally on that, so that you can put in habits and daily things into place that's going to work based on how you previously done things in your life instead of trying to put you into a box, which is a lot of the reasons why people fall out of new habits and things like that. And then I'm also going to be introducing another side of my business. I'm going to be offering personal development mentoring as well. So it's something that's really close to my heart. I've been talking to actually a lot of people lately in the motivational speaking era. And so I'm working to actually get into that realm as well. And there may be a possibility of a book down the road specifically for people that have been through abuse.
Wonderful. Love it. So that's interesting. You mentioned personal development side, and are you seeing I'm sure you probably are, but are you seeing more conversations in this market focused on the stress and the pressure and how we tweak this what we do? Because 2 years ago when the market was pretty easy, they were still stressed from the transaction, but they weren't probably as stressed because it was easier to get transactions. Are you seeing that shift as our market shifts as well?
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing the shift in how people have conversations as well. But you're also seeing the shift of, especially those agents that came into the market when everything was like super simple, right? It was no big deal. You could throw it up on the market and things would just kind of happen. Now you're seeing a lot of those people that decided they want to stay in the business having to now flip what they were doing and actually figure everything out that we always suggest, right? Putting in the beginning of your business is getting that foundation set up. But a lot of us get really caught up in, oh, I've got to find business and I've got to do everything else. So there's not a lot of balance. So I am seeing a lot more of that come out. I've actually also seen a lot more people that are having issues with self-doubt and confidence and things like that, which is another reason why the personal development side is a big one that I really want to tackle, because I feel like a lot of people, especially that recently got in the business, or let's say had been in the business for a while but did fantastic when the market was stupid crazy, are now like down on themselves and freaking out instead of learning how to leverage things off, how to figure out their place, look at their niche instead of doing what everybody else is doing. And a lot of that does play into your mindset and how you see yourself and how you're developing moving forward. So it's another reason why I want to bring that to par. And that's a huge thing actually that I'm going to I have started talking about in my podcast, which should be released in about 2 weeks.
Nice.
That we shifted a little bit from a lot of real estate agents, and I've had some really great ones on there as well. And you guys know because you're a part of it. But I also got the opportunity to actually talk with several different coaches. I've got an executive coach. I've got one that works with mindset. I've got one that focuses in business organization. I have one that actually just reached out to me yesterday. I'll be talking to her later today. And she focuses on the words that you use and how that can imprint how you have a conversation or how you make a sale or how you find the job of your dreams in the workforce. So that's going to be a really neat conversation. So we're going to be diving into that side as well.
That sounds very interesting. I always joke to my wife and kiddos, words mean things, because you say something that's in your mind, it's implied, but it doesn't translate that way because the words that you use were not clear and concise like you thought they were in your head, and then there's a misunderstanding or why would you say that to me? I'm like, I meant this. That's not what you said, right? So I do that all the time. Awesome. Words mean things. Pick the right ones.
Yeah.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah. I'm super excited.
They can't hurt you. They can't hurt you.
I mean, unless you're saying stuff like Yanwei and y'all and yuns, and then maybe, but even that would be rare.
I was always told that the words can never hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny too, because I was actually talking with a group of people the other day and we were talking about that, and being through, the things that I've been through in the abusive relationship and stuff, I can honestly say that words make a hell of a big impact on your mentality and stuff more than anything else. And it's really weird because I know we're always taught that words can never hurt me. That is a lie.
Yeah, why do they teach us that?
Yeah. Well, it's funny, like we could spend the whole show talking about paradigms that are BS. Like, words can never hurt you. Words can crush you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Absolutely, they can. Knowledge is power. No, it isn't. That's absolute garbage. Knowledge is potential. If you don't execute on the knowledge, you get zero power. You get zero out of it. Like, we've all these little cliches in our world where people are like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "No, not at all. Not even remotely." Yeah, it's pretty funny. Cool. Well, let's talk about, since we're real estate based, let's talk about
doing any one thing and expecting that one thing to lead to the greatness whenever it takes all of it paired together. That's really the problem.
Yep. So let's talk about the market for a minute, Kat. If you're having conversations with agents, and I think it's probably perfectly rational for agents who, right, they stepped out of the corporate world, they got into real estate when the market was pretty easy. Now it's all on their shoulders. They're not making the level of money they want to. It is perfectly logical for them to have that moment of, am I failing? Right? Am I doing something wrong? Especially if they're newer and they just don't know how to grow a successful business. As this market shifts, what are you telling agents to focus on to really get some clarity on where they want to move their business?
So the biggest thing has been, one, did you happen to keep track of where your business was coming from to begin with, right? Because that's going to be a huge thing. If you knew that, you had tons of friends and so they started using you because they were moving or whatever, great. Then you already have a niche for a group that you should probably focus on, right? If not, you just got them from all over the place. How did you get them from there? That would be the biggest thing, in my personal opinion, starting out. It's something that we have a conversation is, where did they come from? And are you staying connected with them? That's another huge one, because a lot of us tend to either, one, fall off with a connection, or they're like, oh, well, they already moved and they don't really have family around here, so that's no big deal. So teaching them how to have those different conversations of, who do they know that's in other states that you can find agents for them in that place, like ways to bring business in. They're a little bit different, that it's known in our market, right? But it's just not really taught because we're still stuck on like cold calls and FSBOs and things like that. So that's been the biggest thing. And then seeing how we can, on top of learning how to do your lead gen and making that part of your business now, how to also make sure that you are putting in learning along with that, how to have different conversations now, how to read the market and learn what's going on so that you can have more knowledge, so that you can have different conversations. Because for the longest time, you didn't really have to, right? You just be like, yeah, I can put it on the market and sell it whatever you want. It'll happen. So teaching people how to have those kinds of conversations and just get them out of that mindset where they were stuck, which was, everything is fine. And I always, you guys talk about it a lot as well. I don't really see it as a failure for me. Failure just means it's another opportunity for you to learn something. You don't learn it when everything's perfect. So great, everything went fine. Now you got to figure out why things went fine and how can you implement it into your business now so you can continue to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely learn more from the failures than the successes, for sure. So it sounds like you harp a lot on the follow-up. I think that's wildly important. I'm a big harper on follow-up too. If you've done great business in the last 2 years, you've got future business. It's as simple as that. And sometimes the only thing that's keeping you from getting that future business is because in your mind, you're like, well, that deal's closed. I'm off to the next thing. I don't know. It's been 2 years and I haven't talked to them. They probably don't even remember me, right?
Yeah.
You're cheating yourself out of future business if you're not following up with those past clients in a systematized, automated, value-based way. I was chatting with an agent in our team recently, and we were having a conversation about follow-up. And he's like, well, I mean, I got a couple clients. Like, I don't even think the transaction went that well. So I don't even think I want to call them back. I'm like, I told him, I said, you're in your head. Don't assume that they don't like you because some hiccup happened along the way in the transaction. Give them the opportunity to tell you they don't like you, and then you're okay. You can move on. Right. So we had that conversation, and he went and he called those past clients. No exaggeration, about $2.5 million in volume coming his way, because he called those couple past clients that he literally was like, I don't think it went well. I don't even know if I want to call them back. And that was the bad clients.
That's fantastic.
If you're not staying in touch with your past clients, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was super exciting. Because conceptually, like, there's business there, but for him to come back a week or so later and be like, I got a buyer, I got a listing, I got another cash buyer, and we totaled it up, and I'm like, that's like $2.5 million in volume from you having a couple conversations with people you didn't even think that liked you.
Yeah.
Imagine if they do like you.
I've got one past client I've done 7 deals from. 7 deals from already. And she still sends me stuff. And she's still like, hey, I gave your number to this person. Hopefully they call you. Like there's different things there. Like it's
Yeah.
still happening a lot. Like
Yeah, people do trust people. I hate the phrase of, oh, well, your clients aren't loyal to you. Well, then you're doing something crappy in your business, in my opinion, because I just closed 2 clients down from California, and the one that actually isn't moving into their house till next year. And as soon as he got here to look at the house, he's like, "Oh, I had a conversation with this guy on the plane, and he told me all about his life." And I was like, "Do you know who he is?" And he's like, "No, no, no. But we got to talking, and then I gave him your information, and then I was talking to the other lady on the way here, and I gave her your information." I'm like, I just love you.
Yeah.
But I really do think that people get that in their head, that I see that that's been a thing that's been circulating, especially when things were crazy. They're like, "Oh, your clients aren't loyal to you." Then you're not doing something to keep them loyal. You're not providing some type of value that they know they can go find somewhere else, or there's not a connection there. And that's the reason why they don't care if they work with you.
If you are only servicing a transaction, they probably won't be loyal to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you are establishing and creating and nurturing a relationship through the transaction, they will be loyal to you. I have a similar example when I first got in the business years ago. I had my broker at the time was like, "Hey, there's a renter that's going to be moving down from Maryland to Virginia. Does anybody want to take this renter on?" And of course, all the seasoned agents were like, "Well, renters, there's no money in renters." I was like, "I'll do it." Never turned down a free lead. And that one renter turned into millions of dollars in volume because they rented for 11 months out of a year. They were going to build on a lot they already had, decided they didn't want to build, so they're going to buy a house. So we bought them a house. And they're like, "Hey, we bought this house. Now we don't need the land. Sell the land." In selling the land, I got another cash buyer that wound up turning into a multi-million-dollar horse farm listing. Like all of this stuff spiraled off of one great relationship from a renter, because I was willing to pour into them and help them and follow up with them, right? I probably went to their house 4 times to have tea with them over the course of their year that they rented. But you just never know where the relationships will move something. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think a lot of people forget that, like, relationships are key in this business. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you're in sales." You are, but if you go about it as a sale, you're going to struggle.
Exactly.
You really are. Or you're going to do great because you're a fantastic salesperson. And I've seen some agents that are like this, right? They're great salespeople, but the thing is they're constantly trying to find new business, because once that transaction's done,
they're done.
They're done.
I
I don't want to have to struggle to keep finding crap constantly because I didn't take the time to just friend somebody.
Exactly. So Chris, in your market, what's the one thing that you're seeing right now that you think is the most dramatic change in the market? Short of obviously the interest rates, but are you seeing anything else out there that you're thinking is
lack
something
of
new
showing.
that people need? What's that?
I mean, that directly is derived from the high interest rates, but the lack of showings, period.
Yeah.
Like
overall market slowdown.
There's not that many showings. Anything over the median.
Yeah.
So if you're below the median, then it's still showing. It's still, those buyers still need homes. So I look at those as necessities. But anybody that like wants a home is dragging their feet. If they need a home, they're still showing. They're still, a little bit more aggressive. But the over the median buyers are wants, and just
Definitely slower.
But yeah, I mean that's the biggest trend I'm still seeing, and we'll probably continue to see for the next 6 or 8 months until they figure out how to start lowering the rates.
Yeah. Or
start going the other direction.
Or navigate the new normal with rates.
Yeah, we need some positive news.
Gotcha.
And
what do you think the rates will be at by the end of the year? Let's have that conversation again real quick. Since we've already kind of blown through that theoretically.
Busting our numbers. I mean, who knows, man? Could be an easy 8.5 by now.
Yeah. If we keep moving in the trajectory we're going,
with the big swings that they're making.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they forecasted, the Fed has forecasted another 1 to 1.25 basis point move before the end of the year. So that won't translate percentage for percentage to interest rates, but 1 to 1.25 move from where we're at definitely could move us into the 8s. Yeah, no doubt.
Yep, it's getting there. So I'm also seeing a lot more inspection requests, inspections on the offers, a lot more repair requests, and sellers being willing to make some repairs.
Yeah.
Some even large repairs just to keep the deal together because you don't want to have to go back to market.
Some might say that was moving us into a normal market where negotiations have to take place and conversations have to be had in order to make deals close. Yeah.
I had a deal under contract with the domino effect, and it was a townhouse that was having difficulty selling. One of the tricks that we did in order to help the seller of the townhouse reduce their price to get it sold to where we could sell the one that we're under contract for and still keep that deal together, we actually agreed to pay $5,000 of the buyer's closing cost in order for them to reduce their own house sale by $5,000. So they'd already done some reductions. They were like, look, we can't afford to do any more.
Yeah.
And we're like, look, we want to help. So they were getting ready to make another $5,000 reduction. I said, let's reduce this thing by 10 grand and get this thing going. So we'll cover 5. You cover the 5 you're about to reduce. And let's get it going. So between that and I went and I retook, I decluttered the house with the listing agent. I decluttered the house and I took listing photos, wife edited. And literally the day after that, they had 2 offers.
Nice.
So $10,000 price drop and the pictures, better photos. Had literally 2 offers next day, and they were able to take a stronger offer than what they had anticipated.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had something similar in this market recently where we negotiated seller closing costs because the interest rates have gone up, so the overall monthly payment went up a little bit, and we were back and forth on cash to close. And simple compromise: we'll give you $5,000 more, give us $5,000 back in closing costs. So that was an easy win for everybody, right? Seller got the net basically the same, but the buyer got to save $5,000 to do other things after they close. So definitely starting to see that market shift more towards a normal where there's more of a conversation happening.
Yeah.
It's not just the listing agents going like, send me what you got, right? It's okay, well, let's talk about this. Yeah. What's best for you? What's best for, maybe we put something together here.
Yeah.
Which I like. I much prefer a balanced market where conversations have to happen and people have to be reasonable and understand how to negotiate and find win-win solutions for people. I like that. I think it's part of the business is to have great conversations with people. Some people will hate it, right? Because they got in the business a year ago and this time next year they're going to leave because they're just like, that's not what I thought I was getting into. But I think it's healthy all around to have that balanced market.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
And just so everybody knows, because Chris said it, pictures matter. Because I feel like in the crazy market, we had homes at 600,000 with
cell phone photos,
and I was like,
cluttered.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, I just don't understand it. So it's going to be interesting.
The list agent paid for pictures. That was the other bad thing. He paid for pictures, and mine were 10 times better. Right? He paid for pictures, but the listing agent refused to move anything. Or sorry, not the listing agent, but the photographer refused to move anything. Yeah. So I was over there for 2 hours at least, moving stuff. Like, we moved a lot of stuff. They had like 100 magnets on their fridge. We took pictures, moved them all off the fridge, took the pictures and put them back. The same way. They had to be put back the same way. There was some kind of organization, like they had to be put back. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, they got to be put back. So, well,
but you got it done.
These magnets can't stay in the fridge. Literally, I mean, it was a solid, at minimum half hour, maybe 45 minutes of taking magnets off and putting magnets back on to match up with the pictures.
Good gracious.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's going to be another thing agents are going to have to do, especially your listing agents, is start having conversations with your clients about
Yes.
how your home cannot be cluttered. Your personal items need to be put up. They do not need to be on the wall. Nobody wants to see your stuff. They want to imagine their own in there. If you can't do it, find a staging company. There are tons of them, and they are going to start popping out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Find someone to help you. Do not just list it as they walk in their house every day and that's how they live their lives. People need to be able to see the space.
Yeah. And not just the declutter aspect, which is wildly important, but depersonalize the house. Nobody wants to come into a house and see a wall full of your nude family portraits, right? Pop that stuff in a closet. I use that as an example because I've literally shown a house with a nude family portrait in it hanging on the wall. And some people won't care. Other people will be offended. You probably don't want to offend a potential buyer. It's amazing. You never know what's going to
might
offend
pay
somebody.
extra for that, Walter. I mean, there's
Somebody
all kinds
might
of
pay
weird
extra for that. Hey, the portrait conveys, right? Maybe. But think about ways that you can depersonalize a house. There's nothing wrong with having some nice artwork on the walls. There's nothing wrong with having some things staged. But if you love your dogs and you love your babies and your whole walls are just covered in family portraits, might want to think about trimming that down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Right. Because other people need to be able to feel like they're in their house. And if it's all you, it's hard for them to visualize how they would fit into that. And that sounds like a nuance, but it's a very important nuance. Lisa says nude photos. Wow. I think if I remember correctly, Lisa, I've been doing this for a little while. I've been in 2 different homes where there was nude family portraits artistically hung on the wall. Mom, dad, 9-year-old, baby, like all of them in the family portrait, nude together. Not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying like it's an odd thing, and not everyone would find that interesting. Some people might be offended by it. You just don't know. That's one of those things where let's toss that one in the closet during the showings. Take it with you when you move. You do you. Whatever happens inside your house is your business, but not everyone wants to know about it. So I think I've seen that twice now, if I recall correctly.
Wow.
I haven't sold any houses with those photos. However, I did. It's down south of Murfreesboro. I did sell a house directly across the street from a family nudist colony. So you can literally go there for the day. It's like a family nudist park. You can go walk around, walk down the yellow brick road, play some nude volleyball, like whatever. It's a thing. But I sold a house across the street. We had no idea it was there. And then I was talking to a mutual friend, and he was like, did you sell Robert not this Robert, different Robert, a house across the street from the nudist colony? I said, I don't know. Did I? Like,
yeah,
looked it up. I said I did. So I called Robert. I said, heard you had a new hobby.
Jeez.
Nice.
Yeah.
I lived in a very, very remote spot one time in South Virginia. I actually custom built a house there. I still own it to this day. It's been there for decades. And I didn't realize that the main road that you drive north and east and west on, there's a sign that says Whitetail Resort. Now we're in the middle of nowhere, farms, cornfields, deer everywhere. Whitetail deer, they're everywhere. It wasn't until like a year after I lived there, I'm driving by this place almost every day back and forth to work. Someone had mentioned a nudist colony in the area. Like this, what are they talking about? Well, whitetail didn't stand for the deer. It was like a whole thing, like a camping resort right there in the middle of nowhere, Southern Virginia. So Whitetail Resort. Yeah. To each their own. I mean, whatever. I would be a little concerned.
There don't tan.
I would be a little concerned about the volleyball because, if you're diving in to save it and you're
That's going to be very acid volleyball.
It's a very mild, like it's not like Top Gun diving into the sand to sacrifice the body kind of volleyball. No.
Does everybody stay 6 feet apart? Like I'm not touching it. It's yours.
It's just here to here. They're just staying in this range.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
we're way off topic, but this is great.
I mean,
you can only talk about the interest rates going up so many times, and you got to jazz it up a little bit. Nice.
Oh Lord.
So what else has everybody got going on? I'm launching a book in 25 minutes. So that's
so excited.
Super excited about that. Can't wait to do that. I'll probably have to wrap up this about 5 minutes early so I can jump on with Ray and get the launch going. But That's going to be fun.
That's fine.
Have you talked about that on here as well?
I mean, we could if nobody wants to talk about some schmuck in a Hawaiian shirt writing a book, but we could. So in 25 minutes, the official live launch of the Startup Agent is happening. So if you're an agent, if you're a newer agent, you're an older agent, but you want to do more business, if you're a business owner or a potential business owner, you should probably buy this book. It's no kidding how-to on how to build a successful business. It's focused on real estate agents, of course, but the principles and practices and strategies and resources and systems and processes, absolutely any business owner will benefit from. And it's a really short book too. It's like 90 pages. And they're like, well, why is it 90 pages? It must not be good. It's no BS, no fluff, no fancy philosophical concepts. It's just the info you need to go execute and run a successful business. So I'm super excited about it.
I'm excited.
I think I'm gonna have to buy a whole bunch of them and just like pass them out to different agents in the market here too, just to make sure they do well. Yep.
How
So,
much?
Kat, when's your book coming out?
I've been talking about writing one, so it's been close to my heart for a while.
That might have to get put on the calendar. Little time management, like 30 minutes a day, once or twice a week, tweaking out the book.
Yeah, I've got a couple of people that I recently met with that have written and published 2 or 3 books.
Nice.
And so I'm gonna kind of pick some brains of some people around me as well. So it'll be interesting. I've never wrote anything like that, but
yeah. Well, I think it'd be a super interesting book if you focus it that way, because you have a perspective that most people don't have, right? It would be different if a psychologist, for example, wrote a book on that subject and everybody like, oh, well, sure, they got a PhD.
Yeah.
They don't have the actual, no kidding, experience and knowledge and background and memories and feelings that you would pour into that book. I think that would be wildly successful, because people will feel that in the pages of the book, as opposed to just some psychologist saying, well, this is how and Freud said, and based on my studies. Yeah, it could be valuable, but I think yours would be far more valuable.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's actually the perspective that I'm really hoping to take on it. Is I want to tell my story, but I do want to give some of those intimate moments and those thoughts that did go through my head that I know that a lot of people that have been through any type of emotional abuse or physical abuse or anything like that has probably experienced, and then give them some of the tips and things that I wish I would have been able to do years before, that I'm, just now kind of working into. And I'm hoping that, I can at least help people get to a place of peace a lot faster than what it took me. Because I did a lot of it on my own. So that's kind of the big thing about writing this and getting into the speaking platform and having conversations with people, is really teaching them that, you don't have to be alone. Like, there is support around you. Sometimes you just have to find it. And if that means giving me a call, like, so be it. Like, I want to be that person for people, and I want them to feel like they can have a non-judgmental conversation, because I know what it's like to hide from the things that you've been through and keep it to yourself because of that fear, right? And what I have found out that is, unfortunately, there's a large majority of our population that has been through some type of abuse, unfortunately.
Yeah. I could totally see that. Yeah. Chris, what are you writing, man? Where are you at? Like, where's your book? Sticky note. Yanwei, an autobiography of my dad.
Yanwei, I can write whatever you want on this, as long as it fits on only one sticky note. So,
I was just gonna say, if you wrote a whole book out of sticky notes, that could be interesting.
That would be like a flashback where you go,
Right. I was thinking like at the first page of each chapter of your book, the first page of each chapter could be like little sticky notes set in like a puzzle together, and they all have different buzzwords and notes on them that pertain to the chapter of the book.
I was just thinking the whole book, like every page you open it, think you're going to see writing, and it's like somebody just copied the sticky notes onto the page. It would fit.
That's awesome. I'm not writing a book, but one of my goals is to make some flashcards. I think I've mentioned this before.
Yeah.
to make some flashcards for some company related topics that would help everybody enter company. So that's kind of one of my goals, and I just need to sit down and do it.
I think I agree with you. It's super, super helpful. I love the idea. If you got a slightly larger sticky note than what you're using there, you could model the flashcard size onto sticky notes to get the mind to it. You can do that on a sticky note.
I need to get some bigger sticky notes.
The 1x1s, probably not the right size.
I don't even know how you write anything on that. I write way too big to have something that's that little. It does.
Yeah. I have to, like, this is the smallest notepad I can use. And like, I'll fill this up so quick with my random scribble. I got to have like a full-on legal pad size notepad usually if I'm writing notes. Like, I can't do sticky notes because it just becomes a sea of randomness all over my desk that I have to clean up afterwards. Doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I'm a note taker. That's why I ended up buying a tablet and got away from all the sticky notes and
papers. Yeah.
Yeah, I had like 3 spiral notebooks and 2 legal pads, and I'm like, I can't find half my freaking notes. It's 5 pages in.
You saw my desk around me. There's notepads, and it's everywhere. It's like they say
you're speaking directly to my heart here. Like,
they say, whoever they is, that a cluttered desk is a sign of genius.
No way.
That's what they say. So I don't know who they are, but thank you, they, because I'm a freaking IT rock star. MIT, Mensa, I'm the genius because if you could see past this camera, that's why the camera angle's at where it's at. It's a mess. I barely have room to set my chapstick down without hitting pieces of paper.
No.
I've actually only got 2 sticky notes with writing on them on my desk.
Oh wow.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
I cleared off my desk the other day and now it's sitting on top of a box just down below me. I mean, and that was what I cleared off. Like, I'm a genius. I'm telling you.
I can't even.
You're a genius.
I love you, Walt. I can't. No.
I actually really like organization, but for whatever reason, the sticky notes and the notepads, they just overtake me because I'll write something, I'll freeform thought, and then later I'll go back and be like, well, I don't need that anymore. Let me tear this out. I'll set it over here. Let me tear this out. I'll set it over here. And then I have all the random pages just everywhere.
Why don't you just throw them away?
I'll get to that at some point. I've got to make sure, like, I want to make sure I'm not coming back to that. Like, okay. You never know. Because once I throw it away, I'll need it.
Is that the mindset?
That is traditionally how it has gone. Anyway.
I can't. I am even in my inbox. If I've read the email, unless it is something that is super important that needs to go in a folder, it gets deleted. Like, I hate looking at my inbox and having just like random emails that I've already looked at sitting in there.
Now, I'm right there with you on that one. Like, I cannot end my day without reading all my emails, putting them in the right folder. Like, I'm very, very organized on the email. Right there with you on that one. The paper is the only time. Like, it just... I need to go like full on like Jarvis mode and just get like a device on my wall where I just scribble it all in and put it there and it catalogs it, so I don't need the paper.
Ooh, there you go.
That's probably what I should do.
You just get this. It's an electronic tablet, but you can't have apps on it, so it links to your Google Drive.
Okay, maybe.
But it's like literally having a you remember the old file cabinets?
Yeah.
All your files?
Oh, okay. I could dig that.
So each one has a folder. Inside the folder can have its own notebook and can have multiple folders inside of extra folders. These are random notes that I take and some of the pages of stuff that I want to read.
But I want to mount mine on my wall.
Well, you can get one bigger than this.
Because from here I can actually tap from right here. So I could do it right here. I could set up voice notes, and as I'm talking, it's like, oh, Walt said this, put it on there. Full on Jarvis mode.
I think you're coming up with your own technology on that one, but
if
Iron
Man can do it, why can't I? He's not that special.
Oh, true.
Come on, he's just a guy with technology. I could go get technology. Chris can't get technology. I could get some technology. Anyway, Well,
Chris,
so
that's
let's leave
cool.
everybody with something useful other than our random babbling about notes and stuff. As the market shifts, as people go out there and try to figure out how do I move my business forward in a shifting market, Chris, what's one piece of advice that you would give any agent that's listening that they could go implement this week?
To move forward in a shifting market. Is that correct?
Yeah, one piece of advice for an agent that needs to
Nice.
move their business forward in this market.
I would say focus on the relationships that you already have. Focus on the relationships you already have. It's much easier to nurture a relationship that you already have than to try to go build a new one with people that don't already know, like, and trust you.
I think that's super fair. Yep. Especially if you've been around for a couple of years, you've got relationships you can nurture. No doubt about it.
Those people already trust you. You're not coming at them, from a completely salesy approach, and with as much unrest in the market and volatility with everything, people are going to be looking toward people that they trust, I think, more than people that they don't know.
I like that. I think that's super helpful. Kat, what you got? One thing that agents could do right now, moving into next week to move their business forward.
I would say, on top of creating those relationships, look at where those relationships came from and focus on those. Try not to have more than 4 legs of that business. Otherwise, you're getting really thinned out. And that's the reason why I think a lot of people have issues, is they're looking for things here and they want to buy leads there and they want to do this here. Stop looking at everybody else. Put your blinders on for a minute. Focus on where you've got your business before. Find where you've gotten the most business and see if it makes sense for you to go ahead and put more time and effort into that platform or whatever it is that you're doing to continue scaling it.
I love that. I love the concept that you use about legs of business. I've started doing that as well as I have conversations with agents. It's brilliant. For those listening, right, think about a table, any table in your house anywhere, right? If you have a table in your house that has 1 leg, probably not that stable. You can knock it over real easy. You're done with it. There's not a single house with a table in it that probably has more than 4 legs. Somewhere between 2 legs and 4 legs are where tables become stable and you're comfortable and you can do what you need to do with it. Business is the same way, right? Don't have just 1 leg of business, because if it goes dry, your business falls over.
Mm-hmm.
But don't try to have 5, 6, 7, 8 legs of business, because you're going to spread yourself thin and nothing will get accomplished. Find what works best for you, 2, 3, maybe 4 different strategies, and be actively pursuing those strategies on a consistent basis to get an ROI that you need.
I'm like literally sitting here. What table has 2 legs?
You ever seen like the small little round ones? It's just got like the
2 little round tables, 2 legs that come down, and then they have like a little 4-way on the foot, just a little bit of stability.
Gotcha.
They're out there. Google it, Chris. They're out there.
Well,
the point of that was you don't need more than 4, but you probably need more than 1.
Right. So it's 2 legs, but then there are 4 prongs. So then they really have 8 prongs.
Look at him trying to make things complicated.
No, I'm just saying.
That's like if a leg of the table was conversations, but you were having conversations with your sphere, your past clients, FSBOs, and landlords. That's your 4 on top of the leg. There you go.
That's your leg. Okay, we'll get it.
You're complicated, made it easy.
I'm just trying to figure it out. I was like, because okay.
This is why I wrote the book, because I take that complicated stuff and make it easy.
Really big feet. 2 legs with really big feet. Got it.
Potentially. Awesome. Good stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to cut this a little short. You guys can stay on if you want to, because Misa's got this running. I got to jump off and go get prepped for the launch in about 10 minutes. But if you guys want to keep chatting, you're welcome to. Otherwise, you guys can wrap it up too.
I think we're good. I think I'm good. I got plenty of stuff.
I want to get ready for the launch party.
Take care of too. Yeah.
Love it. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody being on. For those that are watching, Robert's not here because he's not feeling well. So please say a little prayer for Robert that he feels better soon. He'll watch this and be like, oh my gosh, these clowns didn't say anything useful today. But I hope you had fun. I know we did. We'll see you guys next Friday. Everybody have a blessed week.
Bye, you guys.
Take care.